So you're in the market for a new camping tent, and you're wondering if the Coleman Sundome is going to be the tent for you. Let's figure it out together. Well, hey guys, what's going on? It's Samantha from Lone Crow Adventures, the channel where we talk about all things camping, hiking, and backpacking. Today, we're doing a review and a test of the Coleman Sundome Tent to find out if this tent can hold up to inclement conditions. Let's go! The Coleman Sundome is Coleman's most popular tent. It is the #1 tent sold on Amazon. So I'm really excited to see if this tent is gonna live up to all the hype. We're gonna be testing out the 4-person Sundome, but the 2-person and the 6-person Sundome are basically the same design, just brought to either a larger or a smaller scale. So I went with the middle of the road method, figuring that this would be the best representation of this tent's performance across the different sizes. When you unpack your Coleman Sundome for the first time, you're gonna have 5 components. We have tent poles, tent stakes, an entryway mat, the main tent body, and the tent fly. So let's go ahead and get this puppy up. Now the box says that this tent can be set up in about 10 minutes, but I think once you get proficient with it, you'll be able to set it up in about 5 minutes. Now, most of you probably have experience setting up tents, but just in case you don't, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a quick rundown of the steps to set this tent up. You're gonna wanna find the yellow X. These are the sleeves that you're gonna pass the tent poles through, and they're gonna crisscross. These tent poles have holes in the bottom. So you're gonna take this eyelet with this rod, you're just gonna stick it up through there and maintain tension on this. Make sure that you maintain some pressure on that hole. You're gonna come up, go around, slide it through the sleeves, and then grab this hanky, put it in. Get your plastic clips, and find these metal rings, put your tent peg through there, go ahead, just push them into the ground. At the back of the tent, you have a little mesh vent here. So it's really important that you stake this out too, so that way you can get good ventilation in the tent, so you don't end up with condensation. And then we're ready to put the fly on. Pole comes out, you go ahead and find this little pocket. And the first few times that you do this, it's gonna be pretty stiff. Right inside of that little pocket like that. You have to lay out your welcome mat so that you can invite some guests over. So let's go ahead by starting to look at the door. I'm really particular about zippers. I don't want a tent that has zippers that don't run well. Smooth. Zippers seem to be just fine. The Coleman Sundome features a decent amount of room inside, and it's got some nice storage pockets as well. We've got one on the right side of the tent and a matching one on the left side of the tent. Now, I'm not seeing any gear loft storage, but there is a gear loop where you can hang your stuff. If you look at this little yellow stripe here, this is a vent hole for an electrical port. So we've got the rain guard on it, and we've got a little zipper here. So if you need to run an extension cord from a powered campsite inside the tent, pull up the rain guard, unzip this zipper, put your cord through there, and just zip it up to get the cord nice and tight. If you're not using an extension cord, you can go ahead and just leave that zipped up. Well, howdy doody. As you can see, the Coleman Sundome has a nice big no-seam mesh window, which is great. And it's protected by the awning, so that if you're getting a light rain, you're not going to have to worry about moisture and wetness getting inside the tent. You can go ahead and open up the windows and catch a cross breeze. We also have a matching window identical on the door, also protected by the awning. Unlike a lot of tent manufacturers, Coleman does not use seam tape between the tent body and the tent floor. They opt instead for an inverted seam. So the seam is entirely within the inside of the tent. Keeping those seams protected from rain means that they're not going to leak. It's going to be really interesting to see how this tent holds up in the storm. It's going to be here in, I'd say, about 15 or 20 minutes. So I better hurry up and get my gear inside so that I can start the test. Angry sky. Whew. Boy, the wind's really picking up. That storm's rolling through. Now Coleman says that their tents can sustain winds up to 35 miles per hour sustained wind. So we'll see how it performs during this storm. Oh, here's the rain. Look at how great it's just shedding the rain. Well, it's been raining for about an hour and a half now, and so far I'm staying dry. And it's been a pretty steady downpour for that time. So I'm pretty impressed with this tent's rain resistance. We'll see, because we've got some big old red cells moving over the area here in the next couple of hours. So we'll see as the tent body really saturates with water if it's gonna leak. It's raining so hard. I can't even believe it. It's insane. That is some serious, serious rain. Wow. It's really, really raining. I don't even know if you guys can hear me over the rain. Wow. It's so loud in here. Still dry. Still dry. I've got the window in the back fully open. Now the storm is coming in from the opposite side, but I have no rainwater, no spray, no splashback coming through this window while it's open. So it's nice to know that the awning works really well so that you can vent this tent, because sometimes when you're waiting out a storm in your tent, it can get kind of hot and muggy in there. So it's nice to be able to have fresh air. And it's also nice to be able to take a look outside and see what's really going on. This little vent here seems to be holding up well too. There's no water leakage or sprayage coming through this little vent screen. And you can see out there, it's still doing a nice job. It hasn't collapsed or anything. It's doing a nice job around the door too. You can see the rain guard here, doing a good job. And up here, we have this section that's protected by the awning. No leakage around the door. So how would I rate the Coleman Sundome Tent? Well, I would give this tent a pretty high rating. I think the reason it's so popular is because number one, it's affordable, and number two, it is pretty weatherproof. So I'd have to give this tent a 4 out of 5 crow rating. I subjected this tent to a pretty brutal test. We had about 2 to 2.5 inches of rainfall over a 4-hour period, and this tent stayed completely bone dry. And for that reason, it scores big points. The other things I like about it is that it's got a nice respectable peak height. There's lots of room inside for your family and your gear. And the zippers work really, really well around the doors and windows. So those are all great points. Where it loses points for me is in the design of the awning. I'm really not crazy about tents that have canopy style rain fly. In windy conditions, that canopy can be testy. Now Coleman says that their tent can hold up to sustained winds up to 35 miles per hour. And in today's test, we saw approximately 30 mile per hour winds today. And it held. It performed really, really well in the rain. You're gonna be fine inside this tent. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you on the next one.